Hello, I am Dr. Professor Dan Smith, BYU, PhD. We're here to talk about General William Tecumseh Sherman of the Army of Tennessee during the Civil War. Now, General Sherman had many character flaws. For instance, he was short-tempered, sporadic. In his early career, he would often ignore orders from superiors. He was very hot-headed and even had bouts of alcoholism. Despite these personal flaws, General Sherman was one of the first inventors of total war and psychological warfare. His genius plans involved burning and disrupting the Southern economy instead of merely fighting them in headlong battle. General Sherman himself had very little sympathy for the South, but he understood one thing: war is hell. He did not want to simply massacre people in the fields like Grant and Lee did. He would often say quotes such as, "War is war. You cannot beautify it, you cannot simplify it. Only doing so will make it bloodier." So he devised a plan. Instead of killing people, he would burn their things. He would cause property damage instead of violence or bloodshed.
Hello, I am Dr. K from the University of Yale, and I have a PhD in Civil War. We are going to be talking about Sherman's total warfare tactics from Atlanta, Georgia to Savannah, Georgia. So, what Sherman would do is he would use total war and take the South's personal possessions. He would burn down their farms, he would burn their crops, he would take their horses, they would loot their houses. They were left with almost nothing, and he would use this to try to make the South surrender faster.
Hi, I'm Professor Gator, Florida University. After Sherman's march, much of the South was left foodless, homeless, slave-free, and some of them raped. Sherman's armies destroyed much of the railroads and tied them around trees, and they were known as Sherman ties. And the South was not very happy about this, and they resented Sherman's march even through Reconstruction.
Reconstruction after the war in Georgia was way worse than any other place in the South. All their houses and farms and buildings were all burned to the ground from Sherman's march. It required a lot more work and money to get it back to where it was before the war. And many of the Southerners were resentful towards the North, and it caused tons of support to the Klans and other racial groups.
This is a journal entry from a Southerner that's house got raided in Sherman's march. Yankees marched into my house today. They freed our slaves, burned our crops, took our food and valuables, led away our livestock, and burned down our house. And now we are left with nothing. Whatever are we going to do? Stories like these were common during Sherman's march. They took everything and left the South with nothing.
The following is representation of Sherman's investigation of a rich Southern person's home. Warning, there is graphic content. This is not suited for all ages. Viewer discretion is advised.
Who is it?
William Tecumseh Sherman, Commander of the Army of Tennessee, Union Military. May I speak to the owner of this house?
That is me. What do you want?
Come out. My neighbors tell me you have slaves here. Is this correct?
That is correct.
You are to relinquish them to my command immediately.
Why? You can't just take my property.
Your property? By the Emancipation Proclamation, they are no longer your property, but instead free men. All slaves in rebelling areas of the South are now free men. So once again, you are to relinquish your property, or I will have to incentivize you to do otherwise.
You can't just take my slaves. What power do you have to do so?
What power? Well, what power I have behind me is an army. So, again, heed my proclamation. We're going to take your slaves, and they will be freed. If you disagree, well, we're going to have to resort to nastier methods. We're going to burn your farm, free them by force. We're going to loot anything, including illegal foodstuffs you probably have stored. And then, in price for your treason against the United States government, we'll have you summarily executed.
Well, I disagree entirely. Good day.
Always the hard way. Sir, I advise you to open up.
I advise you to leave.
Always the hard way. Treason against the United States government. Confiscation of rebel property. too easy.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
They never
Wait. We forgot something.
Come here now. Good cow. Come on. You're property of the U.S. government now, aren't you? There we go, big cow.
No,
There
cow,
we go.
come on.
Come on. There, and that's it.